Thank you. Beloved. Hey, I'm sorry. Next time. Never know that.
Yeah, I got to hear about that.
Yeah.
Listen to what I know. I'm tired. I got to stop by. Well, I got to get.
You know, when you're tired, it's work for really tired.
Really tired, yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of abbreviation to that.
Did we gain?
Not much more. No. Yeah. There's some big, bigger ones. Swell out. Need to enunciate that. Say that next time.
I don't have the magic touch either. Here, you can, I can share.
I know that they had trouble during the planning.
There were several that didn't work.
Somebody probably.
Everybody can hear me.
There's a time limit on them, we only have 30 minutes. That time limit's up.
Everybody can hear me.
Is it plugged in?
Yes, James actually worked on it quite a while after they had. trouble
Nobody,
planning.
nobody wants to hear me. I'll over. I'll talk loud.
So do you have someone coming to work on them? Fix them? How many words and how many dozens?
These two are mine.
Testing, mine works. Testing.
Testing, yes.
Test.
Is it the light?
Mhm.
Is it the light? Negative, negative, negative.
Okay, right here. How can find her good?
They'll hear me.
Yes, definitely speaking to a mic because even on the video, you can't hear.
Yes, that makes sense.
Correct. If you're not in a microphone, you cannot hear on the video. I can attest to that last meeting.
I heard you.
Y'all add this on there or something, this vacate permit.
Are we ready to go? Or are we having problems with that? Oh, okay. All right, if everybody's ready. Call this meeting to order, the committee of the whole meeting, May 2nd, 2023. Roll call, please.
Mike,
Here.
Tim,
Here.
Larry,
Here.
Amber,
Here.
Daniel,
Here.
Misty.
Here,
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, indivisible, with liberty and Okay, I would like to have approval for tonight's agenda.
I think there are a couple of things that need to be changed, are there not? One of them adding that.
Do we need to add this, we need to add the vacate permit?
Do we? Right.
I think it's really, there's not a whole lot to this. Do you know something about it, Brad?
Yes, this is something that was presented to us by Jorgensen, going along with Gerber Auto Collision that will be opening up. They are vacating part of the easement over there, and they have to go through and we have to do all the utility requirements on that. It has to be approved by city council. So this is why this was brought forth. All the application has been filled out. Utility release forms have been added. So it's for you guys to review, but this has to be approved by city council,
But we can't vote on that at a Cal meeting.
not a county. No.
But we can just discuss.
Yeah, you can discuss and review. Yes.
Okay, so let's add that. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to talk about the verbiage of our business license / home occupancy license stuff that I ran into this last couple of weeks, just so as a council can talk about it. If you want, we could push it to the next Cal, but it's just a discussion. So,
Okay.
so if you guys are okay putting that on the agenda, I'd like to.
Okay,
add-
so
Do we vote on those things?
We're gonna do a business license and what was it? Discussion. of
It's a business license, home occupancy license, and then that's all one thing, and then talk about this vacate permit.
okay.
So
D-
I'd like to
D
make a
would be,
motion for that.
Yes, we're amending the agenda to include discussion about
D,
business
vac-
licensing.
Yeah, D
D.
vacate permit,
Okay,
and then E, business licensing / home occupancy licensing.
Okay.
And again, I'm fine putting that to the next Cal if you don't like it, but that's the motion I'd like to put out there.
Then we just need a second?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
okay, roll call.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes,
Misty,
yes,
Mike,
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Okay, now I seek approval of the minutes from April 4th Cal meeting.
I'd actually like to throw an amendment on those. At my council comments, it says that I was hurt to hear about the Northwest Arkansas the purchase of the water line, the rights. I'm actually eager to hear more about that, not hurt.
Okay, so you want to change your hurt to eager?
Yes.
Okay.
So now, with further ado, can we,
Yeah, I'll motion to approve it with that amendment.
I'll second that.
roll call, please?
Misty,
yes,
Amber,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
All right, comments from citizens, and this would have to do with anything other than what's on the agenda, so feel free to step forward.
Good evening, Kenneth Lovett, 18702 Clearwater Road. In the newspaper, April the 30th, Sunday, says a formal public hearing has been scheduled for May 25th, 2023 by DEQ to discuss the draft permit for Eco Vista LLC Class 1 landfill, Class 1, not 4. The public meeting and hearing will be held at 5:30 PM at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Tontitown. Representatives from DEQ Office of Land Resources will be present to exchange information about the draft permit and discuss the permitting process. Another lovely day. Thank y'all.
Thank you. And for it's going to be fairly obvious if you pull across the street, it will be where the spaghetti dinners are served and whatnot, I'm sure. So. All right, thank you. And you, sir, where you go?
Kevin Bort, 699 West Baker Avenue. I just want to congratulate finally the stoplight. I think it's a process of going through and trying to eliminate issues and getting it through. I think it's made a great deal of change. I have not come by there 8 o'clock in the morning, but tonight I only had to wait through one stoplight. So I think it's a great improvement. So appreciate the changing and doing of all that. A lot of times y'all don't get enough praise. So I'll wait till next time. No. Thank y'all.
Okay. Anyone else? Going once, going twice, gone. All right. Is anyone online to comment? All right. Now we're going to discuss old business, which is a discussion of a resolution to authorize work order and whatever for the Fletcher Avenue Extension Project in the city of Tontitown, Arkansas. All right, James is on vacation and he's one of those that would tend to have the information if we have questions. So it's just me doing this, but I suggest we table it till the next meeting and let James have James here to respond to some of our questions or.
And I had a comment about it. You know, I know that we are discussing potentially amending the budget to allow the hire of an in-house engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my questions to him would be, on that work order, would our potential in-house engineer be able to accomplish some of those things on that list and save us money? So therefore, we're not needing to spend as much. So that would be my question to him if we do end up approving item B. So that's all I had to say about that.
Anyone else?
Yes. My problems with this kind of still exist. The language in Exhibit A, there's not been one change, and I realize I brought up the fact that this might be just boilerplate language, but I thought I heard that there may be somebody looking at it and maybe address some of the concerns and issues that I had about this looking like a cost plus agreement. So, I mean, it's identical to what we got a month ago. And the other thing is, and I asked for the comparables of the engineering cost that was done on Fletcher from Barrington to 112. And I know James said he was going to get that for us too, just to kind of compare where does this fall in line with those costs. So those are my issues.
So if we can get those things alleviated, but we can't get them, would you be willing to table?
This is just a discussion. Are we voting on anything?
On this tonight? We were going to discuss it, but
Oh, okay.
I say
then
without James and as you say, the thing on new business could possibly have an effect on that. So
Yeah, well, if we need to table it, I'll make a motion that we table it.
I'll second.
roll call.
Amber,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes. On to new business. An ordinance to rezone Highway 412 and Pozza Lane. That. Brad or Mark, would either one of you like to comment on that? Kevin could do that if he would.
I could, but I'll let. I got the short straw. That's fine.
Understood.
As mentioned, this property is at 412 and Pozza Lane. It would be on the west side of Pozza Lane that goes all the way back. It's approximately 12.4 acres. A portion of that's already zoned C2, which is closest to 412. And they're requesting that the whole property be zoned to C2. And I think that was a condition of the actual purchase of the property. It's my understanding that in the applicant's letter, they asked to sell a portion of the property to the developer that decides to put a storage unit development in the backside of the property. So it was approved unanimously by the planning commission. There'll be a lot more details come out specifically on the design and access and road improvements and landscaping to make sure that everything's kosher, especially on the storage units that will be placed there. We didn't have anybody from the community opposing it that was notified of it. So if anybody else has any questions on that, I'll be glad to answer it.
Mark, do you know if that C2 there is part of our future land use map or not?
Correct. Yes, the front portion is.
The front portion, C2 is on our future land use.
Yes.
So it's in line with our future land.
Well, the future land use shows C2 is already zoned in that area. Then becomes neighborhood. It's called commercial neighborhood.
So that's not C2, that's commercial
It
neighborhood.
fits within that future land use. What it does is it's going to, we have some very strong criteria when it comes to C2. Specifically when it comes to landscaping and making sure it fits within the areas that it's surrounded by. So that's why it's kind of a neighborhood commercial.
Okay, and Pozza Lane, however that's pronounced. I believe that's where Mrs. Dowden lives, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and she's aware of it?
Yes.
And have we gotten her opinion at the last planning meeting? I didn't see. Okay, all right.
Yeah, she approved of it.
That's what I understand, and I figured if she had a problem, she'd be talking to us tonight, too, right? So, okay, those were my primary concerns,
Okay.
was as long as everybody in the area is fine with it and fits our future land use.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Any citizen comment? All right. I'm looking for a motion then.
I'll make a motion to move this to the city council meeting.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty.
Yes.
All right, on to B, discussion amending the city, water and street budget to allow the city to hire an in-house engineer. That would be our esteemed mayor.
All right, Pat and I were looking at the financials to see where we could, cut cost to help out the city. Last year, we paid Garver almost $500,000 for engineering services. So Pat, James, Corey, and I discussed hiring an in-house engineer. If we were able to hire an engineer and purchase the equipment needed for that job, under $100,000, we could potentially save $300,000 plus for the city. Pat put together an engineering cost sheet, which I have given to everyone. And it's over the past 4 years. So what I would like to do is amend the budget for the possibility of hiring an in-house engineer. I would like $100,000 to be split between city, water and sewer and street budget. If an engineer is hired, or I'm sorry, if the engineer is not hired, then the money would remain in the account. So what I want you to look at right here on this sheet that's up there on the screen right now, that's over the past 4 years. You can see how much we have paid them. Last year, we paid the city part paid 25% of their fee. Water and sewer paid 74% of their fee, and streets only paid 1%. So what Pat is suggesting is that the city would amend it to $20,000, amend the budget for employees pay. Then water and sewer would be 75,000, and then street would be 5,000, according to what Pat's numbers is, and he's phenomenal with numbers. Also wanted to let you know that if we are able to hire an in-house engineer, they would need an AutoPlad, which is $1,600 a year, a program that's $1,600 a year. Bluebeam, which is $150 a year. A plotter is a one-time $8,000 fee. Let's see. I believe he told me, James told me, computer, table, chair, that kind of thing, office area, which we do have available because our enforcement officer has moved over to the fire. He's going to be doing fire inspections after he gets trained. And so his office will be available if this happens.
I don't at all want to sound like I'm talking out both sides of my mouth here when it comes to Garver, because I have agreed with others at this table that think that we ought to look at other engineering firms.
Right.
And I really like the idea of bringing a city engineer internal. But I think my concern would be, can we get somebody with the level of expertise that we need for that cost, right?
Right.
And then to look at a total breakdown. I mean, I know it's not all on here yet. You mentioned it. I know you've got it written down. I'd love to see those numbers.
Actually, it is. If you will look on the bottom right here.
The 4-year expense.
Yes, the 4-year average by fund. Or
But how
you
much
could-
would it cost to get us up and running this year? How would it change the budget this year? It would probably save us money this year too, right?
Exactly. Yes, because if you'll look over in the middle here, it shows $455,000 last year.
Yeah,
So
I know we spent a lot of money on Garver.
within 6 months, I think that we would be saving money.
And then,
And what you were talking about up and running.
Yeah.
That's what I just mentioned to you. Can you add it up for me real quickly?
oh, sure, you bet.
$1,600,
I had some of those in my head, but go ahead.
$1,600, $150.
Yep,
A one-time $8,000.
right.
And then a computer, which I think we have anyway, but that'd be about $2,500 for a computer. But like I said, I think we've already got that
That's 12,250. So for less than 15 grand, we can get somebody up and running.
up and running. Correct.
How quickly can we do it? I'm sorry, Ann.
No.
How quickly could we get somebody up and running?
Well, it depends on, depends.
That
It
also
depends.
does that account for payroll?
That's
that
that was what I had mentioned before. So what Pat said, if you'll look at these figures right here under the 25% from last year is what city paid Garver. The water and sewer paid 74% and streets did 1%. So we would want to amend the budget for city 20,000, water and sewer 75, and then streets 5.
So as an entity, we've paid Garver $450,000
Correct.
a year.
That is correct. That was
Did
for
you-
last year.
Multiple different. We're not gonna pay somebody in-house close to that, are we?
No,
So what are we looking at? Pricing.
75, around 75 to 100.
Which
So
I
I'm
think-
asking 100.
I think that'd be worth our weight in gold. I mean, to get a qualified engineer to help, because even just looking at this work order, back to the item that we tabled, there are items on this $141,000 fee that I'm sure an in-house engineer could do and save us money. And then anytime they make a call, send an email, anything to Garver, it's $150.
Mhm.
So it's
An hour.
Brad, you could
Minimum.
probably speak to that?
Yes.
Maybe
Minimum fee.
minimum. So anytime I've made a call to Courtney, $150. So anyway, I think it would behoove us if we found a well-qualified engineer,
Mhm.
maybe a PE preferably, that could stamp off on things I think it would be a huge benefit to the city and major cost savings.
Is this the competitive rate though that we're looking at trying to spend? Is there a way to research that to make sure that we get the quality candidate because we're offering the right price?
Actually, Amber can answer that,
Well,
if you don't mind.
I mean, just from what I heard, my husband, he's an engineering manager, so he manages engineers, and right out of college, someone with no experience, 85 grand.
Okay.
So probably not, but I don't think 75 is out of the ballpark, just because I think as a small town, we offer so much more. I mean, it's
Right.
the community, the atmosphere. I think that there's insurance, there's other, benefits.
There's
I think,
benefits,
yeah.
right? Okay.
And yeah, so.
But I was thinking maybe if we started out at 75 and see where they're at and see how much they can save us and gradually move up for more work that will be going toward them.
And can we reevaluate at budget time? So, I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah, see how they're doing, reevaluate, just like you would
Absolutely.
any other employees. So,
Yes.
No, I think
Yes.
this is a great idea. I really see the added benefit to doing this.
I talked to James today and he was extremely excited about the possibility of getting an engineer. He said just in the water department alone, this guy would pay for himself with the engineering work that he'd be doing just for water. So anyway.
And this, me personally, I don't want to devalue anything that our chiefs do back there. I mean, they don't make anywhere near that number, but even if it goes over that 100,000, I mean, if it's warranted, I can see where it still benefit us. So if that's just my thoughts on it. So
Another thing to think about is the workload that we're talking about putting this person under. It sounds like we've got a lot of places that we're gonna have multiple hats in different areas. So, I don't know, an assistant, 2 assistants or something like that I mean, you guys are $100,000 is a lot a year. Yeah.
So the rest of that 300,000 will be divvied up amongst me and Mark. Thank you very much.
It just,
So that would be my other concern. Garver has a whole team. This would be one person. Is that a fair workload? Like Danny makes a point of maybe an assistant, like making sure we're looking at the whole purpose, the whole aspect of it. Are we setting it up fairly and correctly?
Right.
Just-
Well, we would still continue if we have to use Garver, we would still, have them
but we
there if we needed them.
just look, the 500,000, we talk about the startup cost, their salary. If we have to end up hiring assistants with them, we're getting closer to that 500,000. Either way, which I think we ought to. You see the 1% last year for streets, the 0% in 21. And then you see the uptick in 2020 and 2019. I'm assuming the uptick in 19 was probably Fletcher's expansion. So hopefully we can see that go higher and get some better roads for Tontitown.
Well, and roads are definitely in our future, right? So, I mean, we're saving money just even, I see the true benefit in this.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to move this on to the city council? I will go ahead and have Justin draw it up, but I need you guys okay to do that.
I'm not opposed to it at all, but considering it's the first time we've chatted about it, I feel a little uncomfortable sending it to city council in 2 weeks. I know it's not what you want to hear. Because I like the idea. I just don't want to rush into it without us looking at it a little more closely. But what do y'all think?
I don't mind the idea of having in-house. I'd certainly defer to, Mark and James and Brad and on a lot of the engineering questions. I guess the only question I have is, we discussed this as we were going to send out RFQs and SOQs, and have any of those been done?
We actually did already do the RFQs, but this, and that was also another reason why we thought about this.
So we have received back,
No, we've sent them out.
we haven't
right.
received anything back. So yeah, I'd be hard pressed to vote in 2 weeks on hiring in-house. And I mean, if I'm overruled by the vast majority, that's fine. But
So
I-
basically what I'm doing is I'm wanting to see if I can get this so I can move forward.
Exploratory.
Right,
Exploratory.
right.
Basically just deciding whether or not we can amend the budget for. this
Okay,
hire,
I
right?
took this as we were going to send out an employment, a thing for employment, looking for an engineer. And if we are going to do that, we certainly want a PE. I wouldn't hire anybody that wasn't, because we
Absolutely,
may be setting ourselves up for some big trouble if
absolutely.
we don't.
And I want to make sure that we have a checkoff list and go through everything before.
Yeah, because obviously these big firms like Garver or Craft and Toll or whoever's out there, I mean, they've got vast amount of resources. And, we just, I hope we don't find ourselves in a situation where we're constantly having to go back to them because we don't have the capacity to handle the engineering responsibilities
Right.
on our own.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So again, I'm like, just to put it out there, I get the idea that it's exploratory. I get the idea that we're putting it out there. But if we're going to be putting it out there to amend a budget, to do a thing that may not happen,
Then the money stays there.
okay,
Then it won't be used. It
Okay.
will not be used.
okay, then you just won me over.
Well, then I'll make a motion that we move this to the council meeting.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Mike,
yes.
Amber.
Yes.
On to C, discussion of a resolution to update the City of Tontitown handbook. Again, our mayor.
I just wrote on the wrong one. Okay, now let me get back in line. All right, on page 28 of the city handbook, section 5.1.3, it states no more than 5 working days of vacation may be carried over from one year to the next. More than once, I've had employees ask if we could change the vacation rollover days from 5 to 10 days. Doing this would allow the employees to be able to take a 2-week vacation during the first 6 to 8 months of the year instead of everyone waiting until November and December, which really puts a strain on the city during the last 2 months of the year. So I would ask the council to allow a change from the 5 days vacation rollover to 10 days vacation rollover.
Comment from citizens? All right, discussion.
2 weeks is a long time. I don't, speaking from my personal holiday vacation time, I don't get a vacation. I stay here in Northwest Arkansas. If I take off, it's a 4-day weekend or something like that. I think 5 days, when I hear, I think 5 days, a week is good because 2 weeks, you're falling behind.
So
That's
here's
kinda
what
my
here's what the issue is. So they roll over 5 days
Mhm.
and then they wait until November and December.
When
And then they take the 2
Thanksgiving
weeks
is.
then, and then it's like really putting a stress on the city. That's what happened the last 2 years.
So at my employer, my current employer, it's capped at 5 days, but you have to use them by April 1st. You can roll the 5 days over, but you have to use them by April 1st. So maybe something where you just have a cutoff point where they have to use it by a certain time, then you wouldn't be running into that situation.
So like an expiration date,
Yeah, you lose them.
120 days or something.
I mean, they're allowing you to roll them over, like, because a lot of people like to use them around, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, that kind of thing.
Spring break.
Or even that even allows for spring break. So if we chose April 1st per se, they could even choose to use it at spring break, but then that would stop it being like the end of the year. I've never heard anyone complain about it where I'm at. Currently, they doesn't seem to be an issue. I mean, not that we take more than 2 or 3 days at a time. Taking 2 weeks is unheard of for me. I've never even done that in my life. So I'm also like Danny, I don't know what that looks like. But I think instead of changing it to 10, I think maybe cutting a cutoff date of when they have to use it by.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I mean, if we're gonna push it to 2 weeks, yeah, or 80 hours. I like that expiration date.
Okay, so for right now, if we just leave it as is, they'll still be able to wait until November, December, take their 2 weeks. They just won't be able to do it in the new year.
You're needing an amendment. Is that what you're saying?
Are we wanting to change the verbiage?
It went from, it's going from, what they're proposing is going from 5 days to 10 days and allowing it
5 of them to expire.
to,
after
the way I understood it, just, you could carry over your 2 weeks vacation to the following year. Actually have 4 weeks vacation in one particular year, but you would have to use 2 of them for sure. Correct?
Not a 4 week, 2 week.
Well, well, okay. Let me back up. After 1 year, don't you get 2 weeks vacation?
No. It's accrued.
Okay. Okay,
So in 1 year, you get 5 days.
5 days.
Correct. You get 6 point something each month. So what everybody is doing, what this has happened the last 2 years, is they will have 1 week carried over. And then they're gonna wait until November, December to be able to use the other 6 to get the 2 weeks. Instead of using it like in January, February, March, April, May. They'll wait till the very end and use all of it at the same time.
So I would say that what I would want to change the verbiage and say an employee can carry over up to 5 days, but those 5 days must be used by April 1st of that following year.
But if you're gonna do spring break, you better move it to May 1st to make sure you get,
All Arkansas state is it's like the 3rd week in March, statewide for the state of Arkansas.
I've not seen it in April.
We were allowed to carry over 120 days at the university.
No, I mean for spring break. Spring break's usually the 3rd week in March. So if you have it expire April 1st, that still allows them to use spring break as their carryover days.
Got
They would only be able to carry over 5 days.
Just wouldn't be able to use it on Easter.
Isn't that a paid holiday?
Okay, so that's what I was asked about the 10 days.
Does that make sense to everybody, what I'm proposing?
I think something different makes sense. And Mayor Russell, I appreciate your heart for the employees, and especially if people are asking you about it. I don't know that the timing is right now. We typically talk about raises and all that stuff at the end of the year. Maybe it's something that we talk about toward the end of the year. If we do talk about it now, I think there are other options other than letting something roll over. And we do have some issues, but, perhaps we could change our policy to say that, new people, first year, or whatever, they get 5 days. And then over time, after you've been here long enough, you get 10 days. And then maybe after you've been here 10 or 15 years, you get another 5 days. But the Bible says you don't work, you don't eat. And I hear what Danny is saying. Not that it matters that Misty or Danny or I haven't had a 2-week vacation in our lives. It doesn't necessarily matter, but there are some concerns that we have to think through. If we do this allowing of days to roll over, first off, the code says that it's without approval from a department head. I think that verbiage needs to change. I don't know that we ought to give department heads that authority, that instead we make it a code or a handbook decision. And we say, whatever it is that happens, instead of a department head having to make that decision.
So if you'll look at the police and the fire, they are, sorry, guys, I don't mean to throw you under the bus.
Go ahead.
They get 15. They get 15 to be able to roll over.
That's,
So I just wanted the city,
I appreciate that. And I don't know that I like that necessarily either. I get your point. But there are some issues that happen. So I did some research on this. And as I look at sites that give advice from a human resources standpoint, for one thing, on a national level, only 54% of employees use all their vacation days anyway, on a national level. So there's some really cool stuff that can happen if we roll that over. We've got a new baby, we've got a wedding, we've got something, right? But most people aren't using that. And one of the concerns that HR organizations have is that if you allow too much rollover or carryover, as it's called, of paid time off, PTO, that it actually encourages people to take less time off. And from a mental health issue, I get that you need a day or a week off sometimes. I totally get that. I'm not opposed to that. But it can actually work against us. Secondarily, from a financial standpoint, I don't know what our average salary is. Let's say it's 40,000. I think it's higher than that now. But if our average salary is $40,000 and we had just 15 of our employees, which is not quite half, who rolled over just 5 days into next year, that would be $11,538.46 that wasn't previously accounted for. In a financial sense, it may not be a huge deal, but it's the sort of thing where if we can't keep track of the money, it just becomes a little harder to manage year over year. So I agree with you. I think the verbiage probably needs to be tightened up a little bit. But I'm not crazy about 10, and sorry, other guys out there, 15 carryover days. But I don't know that now is the time to make any of those changes. But if you guys are game and you guys want to talk about it, I'm willing to get into the scrum and figure it out.
I will say there's a lot of companies that don't allow any rollover. It's a privilege to have rollover at all.
Absolutely.
I've lost vacation over the years because it just doesn't roll over. So that is a common thing. And I think it's nice that we offer that. I'm worried, Tim, if we wait, we're going to run into the same problem that the mayor is bringing to our attention, is that everybody's. So, I mean, this, I feel like it's not going to hinder us to look at this now.
Yeah. And I love your idea. Having a cutoff point, April may be too early.
Right. Maybe
Maybe May is better or June's better.
So, and that, I think that still gives them time to use, because sometimes things get crazy and you don't get to use them by the end of the year.
Right.
I've run into that every year, actually.
Right.
But I think kind of balancing it out, it still gives them that extra wiggle room and the privilege to have rollover days, but not putting the city in a hindrance at some crucial times.
I do have a question, and Angie, you're probably the best qualified person to answer it. It seems that, and I think it's just the nature of the beast, especially when we've got such a small group of people that are so close. If somebody really needs time off, does anybody ever say, no, you cannot have that time off? I mean, it may not be paid. I mean, are there times when it's not paid? Is that what happens?
what do you mean when times when it's not paid?
Well, there's paid time off, right? So if somebody needs to take paid time off because they got sick, their kid's sick or
Okay,
something.
that's sick day. We have sick days.
How many
and
of those do you have?
then vacation days. Honestly, I didn't look that out.
Okay, I would love to know that.
It's
So-
in the handbook. Let's see. I think it's 5.
It's accrued as well, Brad?
It's also.
I
it
think
is-
it's 5 as well.
It is also accrued.
Okay, that's fine. So my point is there ever a point, and maybe there is, where Leslie ends up in the hospital, and I hope she's doing better, but if she ends up in the hospital, do we ever say like, hey, you ended up sick in the hospital and sorry, you can't have time off? I mean, no, we always say like, if you need the time off, you get the time off,
Right.
but it may be unpaid time off.
Correct. Correct.
Absolutely.
And I don't mind people taking unpaid time off anytime as long as the needs of the city are met. But it's the paid time that gets me a skosh. But I may be alone.
So, Mayor, if I'm understanding why this is being brought up, is it's putting the city at a shortage of staff at certain times of the year.
Correct,
And so we're needing to find a solution.
correct.
And to that point, you know, we expect as a society, we expect people to be on vacation during Thanksgiving. We expect it to hit us during Christmas. We expect it to hit us during the end of the year, New Year's Eve and all that good stuff. Is it inconvenient? Sure, but we expect it as a society, you know. When I do get to take those 4 day, it is around Christmas. I don't take it, you know, here in my busy time. I take it around the same time that everybody else takes off New Year or I'm sorry, in November for Thanksgiving and stuff like that. So I expect to see it in those months and in that season of time. I don't expect to see it now in the hustle and bustle when things are starting to roll and kick up.
And
you know,
to answer Tim's question, they get 1 sick day a month.
1 a month, so they get 12 a year.
So
Does
it's
it
not-
expire at the end of the month?
No.
So that at the end of the year, they could have not only their vacation time, but 12 sick days.
and it's
They
not
can't,
a,
they can't use their sick days for vacation days, can they? You can't, okay.
So
Absolutely not.
that's really nice. I guess that's really, I didn't get that. I'm just,
So the only problem I have with Daniel's statement is if we expect people to take off in November and December, we have citizens out here that expect certain things.
well, I'm just saying as a society, not us, but you know,
They are society.
correct.
You're right.
That's my final statement.
Well, I mean, you're right. I was up here a couple times around the holidays and I mean, literally things were just shut down. On days that I didn't know they were going to be shut down, they were just shut down. Not snow days, just shut down, right? Maybe, and I don't dig this idea, but it might work. Maybe we just say like, hey, you know what, around Christmas, we just go dark and we let everybody know it well in advance. But how much business do the citizens need during that time? And maybe with Tontitown trash not being Tontitown trash anymore, that helps them.
If we had, last year, what happened was we had people that was out for their vacation and we had water leaks. We don't know when they're going to happen. So
You're right.
if they
Absolutely. I
have,
agree.
if they had a specific person said, well, if I could have taken my 2-week vacation,
Yep.
February and March, then they would have been here for December.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
you're,
right.
You're absolutely right, Mayor. Absolutely.
To that point, you know, out of everything I've heard, I like Misty's suggestion of, you know, putting an expiration date on them and
And no
figuring
more
out
than
what-
5.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have comment?
Yes, sir.
Please, chief.
yes, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Just on a side note, police and fires 15-day vacation set by state law. And then to the comment about like supervisors or department heads with the days off, that's part of what we do with police. Anybody we have a vacation request or time off request form and basically the approval on that is just based off of staffing and scheduling. So we make sure that we don't have a whole entire shift taking vacation at the same time and nobody here.
That's great, Chief. I appreciate that. The verbiage here would say that only so much can be carried over from year to year without prior written approval of the employee's department head. So in this case, it's not just approval of the vacation days, but it's approval of
Right.
however many vacation days.
Yep. And we're a little different than civilian employees. So.
Thank you.
I like Misty's idea as well. I also didn't dislike the idea of pushing that back a little bit so that they can enjoy some warmer weather vacation, you know, for their vacation, but I think a cutoff date would be good.
I mean, if we do, cut the year in half, we do June, the last day of June, they have the first 6 months of the year to use those rollover days. That's really flexible. Most employers are not that flexible. I mean, and then business needs, I mean, we are running a business at the same time. So I have been turned down for vacation at time because my coworker was already off and my customer needed me there. It's just all a balance in how we run the business, which is our city. So unfortunately, sometimes you have to be told no and it's not fun, but if there's a business need and we need someone, I mean, it's just a balance and working together and open communication. And I think we do a great job of that here at the city. So I think just working through the communication and then setting some clear guidelines, because if you have guidelines, then you have something to stand to and hold people accountable for, because they're aware of it and they can plan for it.
I love Misty's idea. You make a motion, I'll second it. In fact, I'll make the motion. I make a motion to support Misty, whatever she says.
So I make a motion that the verbiage changes. I'm not exactly sure how to word it, but just that 5 days can roll over, but they expire by the last day of June. 5 days? Or is it, are you wanting the floor? It's everybody, what's everybody think? What is it, 5? I mean, what do they get to roll over right now?
Right now they get 5. They're wanting 10.
So personally, I think we keep it at the 5 days it is. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not changing policy. They know 5 days roll over. Just now we're telling them they expire the last day of June. They've got 6 months to use them.
I'll second.
I don't think it's fair.
Okay.
I absolutely do not think it's fair. If we don't want to change it, then let's not change it. But telling someone they have to use their vacation the first 6 months of the year when they're allowed to roll over for 5 days, I just don't think that that's right.
Well, I think as Misty said, it's a privilege when people get days off. It's a privilege when people get the opportunity to carry over those days. So I understand that's not at all what you had in mind, but I think it makes sense.
How
There's
many people
nothing-
are we going to lose?
I don't know.
I don't want to chance that.
Well, if we lose anybody over that, if they're willing to leave because it doesn't carry over past a certain point, then I mean, that
Okay,
I just don't know that that's the kind of employee that if they're going to make a threat over that, I mean, there are people who want jobs. And I'm not trying to be hardline about it, but I think Misty's got a great point.
okay, so I think that we should just leave it as it is then.
And I think that we ought to go with Misty's idea.
I mean, I'm.
Because this is my thought. I feel like that, okay, like we said, it's a state law, police and fire get 15 days. Okay, now we are again knocking down our other city employees. We're knocking them down. We're saying to them, they got, for instance, we go back to budget, they got an increase. Now we're gonna
Everybody
knock
got an
them back.
increase.
Right, but not like,
Everybody got a really good increase.
but not like, I just think that is really, really putting yes, sir, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you finish your statement. I just wanted to make sure I.
I just think that that's really putting a very harsh thing on our city employees. I really, really do.
I've been a 1099 guy for 20 years, so I don't know what a paid day off is either. But there could be a compromise here. If, we're going to say 5, we can roll over. Mayor Russell wants 10. Let's make it 7.
I think
It
Mr.
makes-
Lovett has something to add, as far as a citizen.
Yeah, you don't take benefits away from people, I don't think. I think that, if they're asking for 10, you don't tell them, well, you're only getting 5 and taking away a certain 6 months of the year, That don't make good sense to me. You work hard, or I do, to get time off. It's not a privilege, it's a benefit, so
Yeah, I agree. We could
where do
also
you go
that
from
out
there?
Into the future, 2 or 3 years.
But right now, you're in the middle of the year, you don't take away their benefits.
We certainly can't do it this year.
And we're not looking at taking anything away. Right now, the policy states 5 days
For a year.
to
So
roll
you-
over, 5 days to roll over,
You
to go
take,
with their
okay,
new 5 days for the
so
new
like
year.
Okay,
if
so
the year ends in December, you have 5 days left over you didn't take that year, so you take them to the next year, but you have the full year to take them right now as a citizen, right? Or as an employee. Don't take them people's days away from them. That's the worst thing you can do to anybody.
But we could make that change out 2 or 3 years from now, and everybody's got plenty of time to see it coming. I agree. We don't take it away in this
In the middle of
year.
the year. Yeah.
Right.
So what I was thinking
But
that
that
Misty was
makes logical sense.
What I was thinking that Misty was talking about was saying that there was 10 days rollover and that you had to take at least 5 of those days by June.
Vacations is one thing. It's close to my heart, you know.
And
You work
completely
you work your whole life
appreciate that.
and then you die, you know.
No, and I completely
So-
appreciate that. They're already getting so much more than so many other, I'm not trying to take anything away. It's just you brought a problem saying that everybody's taking them at the end of the year.
This is
So
the way
we're
to
trying
fix
to
it.
bring a solution, you know, and they have the whole year plus another 6 months to plan those days. We're not trying to take them away.
Instead of changing, you know, just ask them to plan it at the first of the year, you know. If
That's what-
everybody knows they're going to vacation for turkey season, plan it and spread it out and let the people work it out. Don't wait till the last. I've had that done to me. Don't wait till the last minute. Say, well, Larry's taking off, so you can't. Don't sit well with anybody.
Where I'm at, you have to have everything in by March. They know things are going to change, but your main vacations have to be in by March for the year so that we're planning as a team.
Yeah, but
So-
don't tell them, well, you can have 5 days, but you got to take it 6 months. That's just to me not right. So.
Okay, so now we've got a motion. Mr. Williams, please.
As most of you guys know, I just retired a few months ago from Union Pacific Railroad, and we had some of these same problems. Everybody wanted to take the vacation at the end of the year. So what we had to do, we had to have, like Misty say, everybody had to have their vacations in by a certain date, like March 1st, whatever it was. But we went by seniority. You couldn't, I don't know how many guys you got working in the water department, this and that. You couldn't have 2 of us off at the same time. You could only do one this week, one the next week. So you always had somebody there to be on call like that. So we didn't run into problems because we was having that problem for a while and stuff. And we wasn't able to roll over nothing. We had to take our stuff, or they paid us at the end of the year. They paid us for what we didn't take. But if these guys rolling money over, y'all have already got that in the budget to go to the next year, just roll that money over with it, right? So it's not costing you any more money, right? So I don't see a problem with that. But like I say, if you make them put their stuff in and tell them, say, hey, you can't have but one guy off at a time and you got to go by seniority. It don't mean this seniority guy gets to take every holiday. He gets his first choice. The next guy in line gets his choice on down the line. Then you start over again. That way, the same guy don't get Christmas. He don't take
Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving, or all of them.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying. So I just thought I'd throw that out because we run into that same problem.
You
So,
know, it all comes back to communication and a plan.
yeah, you had to have your vacations
Right.
in. And if you didn't have them in, then the boss would put them in there for you.
Well, and we even have blackout
Without
dates.
luck.
We even have blackout dates on days we cannot take vacation because there's a business need.
Well, we didn't have that. We just could only
Right.
have one guy off at a time on a certain, what we call gangs. Y'all's, water department, or I don't know how many you got out fixing the line at night or during the day, but each little bunch could only have one off at a time, so I just thought I'd throw that out. Thanks,
Sir.
Brings up an interesting point. If we know that there are certain times that we don't want people off, we black out dates that you cannot take vacation. I really don't have a problem with going from 5 to 10 days. Like I said, this is going into I think these benefits, vacation days, the 5 days are already included, right, in the budget. And so, I just don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I would appreciate being able to get paid time off since, I don't have it. That's my choice, the job that I do, but, well, not really my choice, but that's just one of the things that because of my job, I don't get paid time off. But anyway, I see it as a little bit of an extra carrot for people who are here, quite frankly.
Rhonda Artemani, 765 Artemani Road. Okay, I work for a company, I get 80 hours rolled over. I got an awesome company I work for. And we are just like the guys at the street, there are a lot of seasonal job. Spring, summer is their busiest time. I don't care if they're water, street, that's their busiest time, taking care of everybody. Wintertime, fall and winter is their slow months unless it starts to snow, and then they got to do that for you. And I think doing what you're thinking about doing or changing it, the 80 hours, I think, would be a better rollover for them to be able to use those vacation days. If you want them to do it in the spring and summer when it's at its peak and you guys are calling and complaining because the right of ways aren't mowed, everything. You think about everything that they do. And then you're saying, well, you've got to take your vacation during this time and you got a time limit to get it done, or you can't take it during this time because we don't want everybody to do it at the same time. Well, you better start thinking about the seasonal stuff and when they're there and when you want them there. I don't know what to tell you. Either I would think, in my opinion, either leave it alone or make it a little better for them.
You bring up a
But
great-
giving it a time limit is not good. I don't think.
so-
I mean, I've got mine. I get 80 hours rolled over as soon as my anniversary date that I was hired. I get another 80 hours, but I've got to get that 80 hours down or get my time down to 80 hours before my next anniversary date. So, but you guys may need to think about the seasonal stuff because your phones are going to ring.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You're right. You
That's
bring
a
great
valid point.
Thank you, Rhonda.
So how many days of vacation do our employees currently get?
Month.
6.4
0.6.
hours a month. 0.6 hours a month?
No, 6. And Tim, I think that's going to be length of service as well. And then as you have been here longer, your days that you accrue will go up.
But the low end?
Low end, I think is 1 to 5 years. If I'm even mistaken, I don't have it right in front of me.
I'm sorry, I haven't gotten a straight answer from anybody yet.
Well, and just, we're not, this is discussion. We're not trying to take anything away. Rhonda, thank you for bringing seasonality. It's something I'm not out there mowing, so that didn't come top to mind. I was just bringing a solution to the table based on what I do. They have that whole year. I mean, granted, we don't always get to take our vacation time when we do, but they do have their year to use their we're not saying not to use your vacation.
We're just incentivizing.
We're incentivizing for them to use it during that time.
And only
But-
use the
but
rollover.
A bunch of companies don't do rollover. This is a perk that so many places do not offer. So we're just trying to find a way to make it work, whether it's a blackout calendar or, only 1 or 2 people in each department can be off. There's so many options we can work to try to make it fit. We were just asked to try to find a solution. So that's what we're discussing tonight.
Okay, so from 0 to 7 years, obviously it's accrued on a monthly basis, but there are 10 working days of vacation per year. So our employees are getting really nice benefits. They're getting 12 sick days. They're getting 10 paid time off days they can use however they like, up to the first 7 years. And then everything after that, it's 15 working days. So all we're really talking about here is that carryover. And there was a point earlier about the money being left. I think it was Mr. Williams, money being left at the end of the year. The way that we have used our budgets here, generally what's left at the end of the year gets spent out. Often it gets spent out in the form of a bonus or something else. It doesn't always get moved over. I mean, there are a lot of ways that I could be okay with it. If we said, hey, you don't use it this year, we pay you out this year, I'm fine with that, potentially. But when we're talking about the carryover, as Mr. Lovett pointed out, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't get the horse back in the barn, right? So whatever we go to now, if we regret it in a year or two, there is no undoing it. It's there and it is generous. I think if we continue to allow them to carry over 5 days, I think that's fair. I think it's more than fair. I understand that benefits are part of the package that make people want to go work somewhere. But if you look at our benefits across the board, when Mr. Colvin was mayor here, one of the things that he talked a lot about, and rightly so, was just how generous our benefits are. Our benefits are extremely generous. And this is another one of those areas. So I'm not trying to say, Mayor, oh, the fire and police deserve something that the civilians don't. No, but people are different. The state didn't say civilians must have 15 days. Civilians must be able to roll over 15 days. It's not a state law. For whatever reason, the state did not determine that to be the case. Now, if as a city, we decide that we want to make that a case, we can, but we're not trying to take something away. This isn't, we hate civilian employees. We don't want anybody to work here. That's not it. Of course, we need people to work here. I think Rhonda Artemani had great points about the when. If we're going to say that we have to use those rollover days or carryover days by a certain time, we're going to get ourselves in trouble. Thank you so much, Mrs. Artemani, for that. But I think that to do more isn't necessarily helpful. If we can make some sort of a tweak so that they accrue more quickly or whatever it happens to be, that's awesome. If we can find a way that, maybe we rotate through, not completely dark, but toward the end of the year, if there's less going on, that we can say, hey, you know what? Let's just sort of spiff some of those days. We as a city are going to say, we're going to take some of those days off. If we can, then those are those sorts of days that we don't have to take out of their sick pile or out of their paid time off pile. And yet we're still giving them days that they would have used otherwise around the holidays, as Danny pointed out. Those are just my thoughts.
I just have one more thing I'll add, and I'll probably be ready to table this if we can't move on any further after this. 12 sick days is a lot of sick days. It's, one sick day a month. Let's make it 6, move 5 into vacation. That's another possibility. Sounds like we've got a lot of possibilities out here. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I didn't think this would be this much of a talking point, but like I said, I hadn't had paid vacation in 20 years. So, there are a lot of good options out on the table. I think this may be an area where compromise is in order for any number of things that are out there. So I'd be willing to table this, do a little bit more research, and come back and discuss it again next month.
So you had a motion in a second?
You can table it.
Yeah, let's table it.
If you'd like.
I'll make a motion that we table this.
Okay.
I'll second that.
I think we have one more citizen comment if he cares.
Something very brief, Russell, if I might. My name is Grant Siemens, 1278 Piazza Road. Just one other thought to be thinking about with the language. I don't know, does the city allow those 2 weeks or those 10-day vacation days to be used all at one time if somebody wants to take a 2-week vacation? So if somebody rolls over hours, what's going to prevent them from asking to take 3 weeks or a month? If they roll 2 weeks over, you might want to consider adding in language that no more than X consecutive days of vacation may be taken at one time. So you don't lose somebody for 3 weeks or possibly a month. So that was the only thing to add. Thank you.
And my thought was if we did roll them over and somebody says, I want to take a month off, they probably won't be back.
And when they do come back, they're not very effective
Yeah.
until they get back into the.
So, okay, so we tabled it. So that's where we're at, leaving it as is, as far as,
We gotta do roll call.
roll call on the table.
Misty,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
All right. Next, we have a vacate permit for, I will give you the address here shortly. 184 and 244 South Maestri Road. Would you like to address that? Anybody, or is this Brad or Mark one? Or is this so easy that anybody can do it?
Well, we brought forward when you guys amended the agenda, what this was for, and you've had it in
Yeah.
front of you. Once again, this has to be voted on by city council for approval. So it'd be just a matter of you guys taking it from here to city council. Do you guys have any questions? I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, this is for the Gerber Auto Collision
I'll make a
Center.
motion to take it to council for a vote.
Okay.
Second.
Roll call.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Item E, discussion of home licensing fees. That would be Mr. Burris.
That'd be me. Okay, so I have a business in town. Nobody comes to my place. I don't raise taxes. At the last meeting, I said a couple of times that I don't bring any taxes to the city. And an employee, or I'm sorry, a citizen mentioned to the mayor, hey, this guy's not bringing any taxes. Does he even have a business license? Well, it's a great point. So the mayor sent me an email and we talked about that. And she said, yes, I see that you're exempt from a business license. A couple of years back, I came in and James Clark said, nope, you do not need a business license with my checkbook in hand. What do I need? You don't need anything. Okay, great. So I had Justin Eichmann look into it at the time. Justin said, you don't need a business license. You don't need a home occupancy permit. You're good to go. But the verbiage is vague. And in the mayor's opinion, understandably, I get it. She thought I needed a home occupancy permit. As I read it, it doesn't look to me like I need it, but I'm not going to squabble over $50 and I want to do the right thing anyway. So I asked Mr. Eichmann to look into it. Mr. Eichmann said it's a gray area. Okay, it's a gray area, but okay. So I filled out my application last night. Hopefully it gets approved. So I can pay my $50 and no longer say that I've never brought any money to the city. But the verbiage is just vague. So we don't necessarily need to talk about it tonight, but I'd like to look at that part of the code and try to sort of sharpen that up. In particular, as you look at the code, and I know nobody's got this up in front of them, there's this section that says like A, B, C, D, E. And A is basically like you're exempt if you don't have somebody coming to get something, at your property, if you don't have a tangible product to sell. And it says you're exempt from a business license. So A says exempt from business license. B talks about business licenses. And then C, it says business, but it doesn't say license. D, it says business license. E, it says business license. So I'm fine either way, and I'm paying the $50 either way. But I think it's nebulous, and I think it just needs to be tightened up. So as people look at it, and as the city looks at it, we can look at that and say, aha, here's what happens. So as I called around just to sort of prep for this discussion, thinking we'd have it next month, what I've noticed is all over the country, in big places and small places, all over Northwest Arkansas, we are all over the board on this. Interestingly, Bentonville does not charge business licenses to anybody. Nobody in the city of Bentonville has a business license. If you're a food vendor, they charge you $125 a year for a food vendor license, but they have no business licenses. Johnson just recently revamped theirs. Basically in Fayetteville, everybody gets a business license no matter what. In some places, you have to get your home occupancy permit approved first and then go get a business license, and they charge for both. So there's just a lot out there, and it's something that would be worth chatting about. So thank you, Brad. I appreciate it. So if you look at, it might be higher than this. I don't have it in front of me. Uh-oh. I might be able to find it too. I didn't even mean to spend this much time talking about it. Okay, so now, yeah, it's up higher than this. It's like, the code is like 110. Yeah. So license required. So if you look at the end of A, where business is highlighted in that bottom line, it basically says, a person, partnership, corporation, or other entity operating and having a place of business within the corporate limits of the city shall not be required to have a business license if services are not provided at the residence, which would require customers to travel to said residence, and 2, the business does not have any employees other than the owner. So in that case, understandably, I'm exempt from a business license. For the purpose of construing the chapter, more than one place of business shall mean business. So then it says, C, any person, partnership, corporation, or other entity operating and having a business operated out of their residence is required to have requested a home occupation permit, which will require a fee of $50. So I guess the question becomes, is C exempt because A is higher, or do they all stand separately? And I honestly, I could see either way. All nonprofit organizations as defined and recognized by the IRS must apply for a business license. That's $5. And additionally, every applicant requesting a business license. So if you see what I mean, basically they talk about business license, except for that one place, there's that home occupation permit. So again, just to try to tighten it up as best we can so that there isn't confusion, number one. And number two, this may be, although not a lot of money, it may be an opportunity for us to bring some more money into the city. Your thoughts? Anybody? And yeah, and so let me apologize for not having had my home occupancy permit before now. I was going off what the attorney had said prior and what James Clark said prior, but the city attorney has a different opinion this time, and I'll go with it.
To your point, Tim, I too also have a home business, and I paid the $50 for the fee. I just would like my I's and dotted and my T's crossed.
Yeah, sure.
So I did pay it, and at least I know I did my due diligence on.
And I totally would have, but they said, no.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
do not. But that's fine. So you like the idea that, okay.
The home occupation permit, business license. I'm actually looking up I'm intrigued that Bentonville doesn't have one, and I can't find one. I'm looking it up and I can't find it either. So that's intriguing.
Yeah, I couldn't find it online, so I called them and they were like, yeah, we don't do that.
Anyone else have anything?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just first.
Yeah.
So are you wanting the verbiage cleaned up? And if so, how?
Yeah, I don't know. I've asked Justin to help with that and I haven't heard back from him yet. I guess what I'm asking is, are you guys willing to look at cleaning up that verbiage, or does it just not matter? I think what I'd rather say is, like Danny, if you've got a business from home, you need a home occupation permit, it's $50. If you got a business somewhere else, you need a business license, it's $50. Just to make it clear.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts to bring clarification to that verbiage.
And I don't know anything about business license on a personal note. So is $50 the low end, or are there some businesses that, let's say a $10 license, 15, or I have no idea. What are a business license?
It's a great question. I kind of know an answer to it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So in some cities, they would say, like Johnson, for instance, it's $50 if you're, a home business. It's $50 if you've got one employee. If you got two employees, it's $50 plus $5 for that extra employee, and $5 there, beyond that. If you're a restaurant, it's $50 plus $5 a table, right? I mean, there's just all these different ways to look at it. And so that might be something to look at. Like, do different businesses have different licensure requirements? Another thing that we probably should consider is, one of the reasons why I like the idea of having a home occupancy permit, paid for or not, I mean, you guys can decide how you feel about it, is that we don't, as a city, necessarily want to say, and I don't want to be big government here, but we don't necessarily want to say, yeah, sure, you can run a business out of your house. Maybe we don't, maybe in that particular circumstance, because of zoning, which, I don't know how much that's a part of it here, or other issues, we don't want it to happen. But there are certain things like you can't do refrigerator repair. If it's a barber shop specific to our code, no more than one chair, no extra power requirements. You can't be a mechanic who has your garage in your garage, right? I mean, there are certain things. So I like that idea, but do we want to say like some places do, you have to get your home occupancy permit thing first and then go get your license? And if so, do we charge for both? Like, is a home-based business going to pay more than a business that's in a strip mall?
I thought it was two different things. I thought it was a business license
Or,
the home occupancy license is the way that I was understanding it.
and that's fine. I just don't know that it's clear, right?
And I honestly didn't know anything about it until
It's
I
okay.
was called. I had no clue.
I'm glad you brought it up. In fact, to the mayor's credit, I have said to her in the past, hey, if you ever see something that you think doesn't smell right, pass the smell test with me, please let me know about it. And she emailed me to say, hey, look, you told me if I ever have a problem, let you know, this is something I think is a problem, we need to get rectified. So here we are, trying to get it rectified. So again, it may not seem like a big deal, and maybe it never matters to anybody anywhere ever, but I happen to sit on city council and I'm seeing now through my own eyes, like, you know what, when I tried to do this here in the city, they told me not to do it. And now it would look like a guy who's sitting on city council is out of compliance. And that's not good, right? So let's make sure that it's clear enough that when anybody, a guy in city council or not, comes into the city and says, I want to pay you money now, that the city understands it enough to say, yes, sir, let me take your money and put it in this column. And that anybody who wants to have a business here at home or otherwise knows what they have to do.
Right. That's great. That's great advice. So when we do have two different ones, so if we have a business license, we have one form for that. And if we have the home occupancy, it's a different form.
I understand that there are different
So-
applications, absolutely.
Right.
But if this says if you're going to be a home business, you don't need a business license if you meet these criteria,
Right.
but you do need a home occupancy permit.
Correct.
Otherwise, you need a business license under these other conditions, just to clear it up a little bit. And again, if you guys don't think it's a big deal, then it's not a big deal to me, but whatever you guys think is best. What do you think, Mike?
Well, yeah, I think 11004 and section C, it can easily be seen where it's in, I'm looking for the right word, contradictory to A, or in 11001 is the purpose of business. Either you're not a business at home or you are a business and you need a home occupancy license. So it is a little muddy. So those two areas I think need to be addressed. Yeah,
Mike, would you repeat those two again so I can get that written down?
it's 11004. The license is required for place of business. Part C, which is the home occupation permit. And then 11001, I think that's the first one that kind of defined people who needed a business license. I believe that was wasn't that the one, Tim?
It's 11004 part A. So at the very end of
Yes, I'm
11004
sorry.
part A.
So it's
So
all
the
11004.
first part says
License
who
is
does need
required.
it, and the second part says who doesn't. So maybe it just needs to move up closer to A, where it says these people don't, but if you don't meet these criteria, then you need a home occupancy permit. I mean, as a thought, and I'm sure Justin can add to this. I haven't heard back from him yet. He just answered me yesterday. I got it late yesterday. and wrote him back this morning. So I didn't expect to hear back from him today, but I also didn't expect to talk with this today.
Anybody else have anything to add? I guess we'll wait for further clarification through Justin. Is that correct? All right.
Then would anybody be willing, if we get something from Justin by city council, to have something worth voting on at city council?
I think that if we do have clarification, we should take it to the next CAL.
Yes.
Discuss it.
Okay,
So do we table this?
totally makes sense. Yes,
Do
absolutely.
we want to
I'll
table
make a
this?
motion to table it to the next CAL.
I second.
Thanks, Danny.
Okay. Roll call. Roll call.
Okay, we're gonna go Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
All right. Now we have comments from our council members. Daniel.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. To our civilian employees, reach out to me, let me know how you feel about the PTO, and I want to know you're not life, but you're in vacation is in the balance right now. So I'd like to hear from any of you with that, to have an informed decision on that. 501-444-2207. Thank you.
Misty.
Just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and giving their thoughts and concerns on things. I'm with Danny. I'm here pretty regularly, so I'll be reaching out to you, city employees, to get your opinions on these. We're in no way trying to take anything away. We're asked to find a solution and we want to make that right. So let us know what you think and I'll be reaching out to you. So thank you everyone for coming out tonight.
Amber.
No comments other than happy birthday, Misty.
Well. What?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Michael.
Oh, yeah, thank everybody for coming out. I wish, Kevin, that I could take any credit for the light or doing anything right around here, but I can't. I saw a quotation and it kind of made me think of local government, and it's attributed to many people. I saw it attributed to Winston Churchill. It says, you show me someone who has no enemies and I'll show you someone who's never taken a stand on anything. So, I'm not up here trying to make enemies, but, that may be the end result of doing our work up here. I did attend a planning commission meeting last time. I didn't think they could have one as long as our city council meeting the week before, but it was very long. I was glad that I attended though, to see some of the issues that would be coming before us. They have a really tough job because they're the front line of the stuff that comes to us, and they have to weigh out all the things before we ever see them. So, citizens, if you want to have your voice heard, that's a really good place to start there, is going to the planning commission meetings. But anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate you coming out. And I too enjoyed the discussion about the vacation, because like I said, when I first saw it, I said, wow, this doesn't look that, like a big deal, but I didn't take into consideration some of the other factors that were involved. So thank you again, guys.
Tim.
Thank you, Larry. You know what? I just started reading a book on Winston Churchill last night. No kidding. A young Winston Churchill. And I read it until 2 a.m. The truth is I only started at about 1:45 a.m. But I did read it until 2 a.m. until my wife fell asleep. But it was a very good book. And I think I agree with both Mike and with Winston. I know there are people here who get very upset with me. And that's fine. You have every right to be as upset with me as you want to be. You're not the first, and I would love for you to be the last, but it's probably not going to be the case. But we are here to try and do the best we can for the city. And here's what I have learned about the folks that are here, from the mayor on down. There's not a single person up here who doesn't have the city's best interest at heart, not one. And I know that we often get sideways with each other, but I think the truth is we are all better because we think differently. Douglas MacArthur, the great general, said, if we all agree, then somebody isn't thinking. And I love the fact that we think here. I love the fact that this council is really markedly different. And I very much appreciate that. And I will give all that credit to all the good that's happening in the city, to Mike and Danny and to Misty. And I don't mean to take any of that away from you, Angie, at all. I think you need to be the helm, and you are. But to have the propellant of Mike and Danny and Misty is phenomenal. So thank you, guys. I'm so excited to be working with the three of you in particular, and Amber and Larry, you guys too. Whatever. And oh yeah, and Amber and Larry, you guys are great. You already know that I like you. Leslie Shadrick, poor girl, has had some health concerns, and Leslie, we're praying for you and hoping that you're 100% better soon. But goodness sakes, I know you've had a lot on your plate, and I hope you feel better soon. Regarding the PTO issue, absolutely, we need to get input. And I know you guys did a great job at the budget period of letting us know how you feel. Let us know how you feel. My phone number is 479-320-2122. I cannot receive texts on that line, but that number follows me wherever I go. So please feel free to call me. And if you have to leave a message, I'd be happy to get back to you. Thank you all. That you have such a pulse and a heartbeat on the city. Mrs. Artemani, your words tonight were well spoken and taken to heart. Thank you for that. Mr. Williams, thank you. Gentleman in front of you, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten I didn't catch your first name.
Grant. Oh, Grant.
Grant, yes. Thank you. I appreciate what you've added. Mr. Lovett, I always appreciate that you've got information about waste management. Those of you in planning that have joined us, the planning department, chief, thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Well, I was going to thank everybody that Tim didn't, but he left me nobody, so.
The end.
I'm pretty much going to pass it on. I do thank everybody for showing up and appreciate your input. As Tim said, every idea could be a little different, but thank you. Nina Brown did not speak. Yeah. What happened to you, Nina Brown?
You can say thanks.
But thank you for showing up.
It's not
Oh, and now comments from the mayor.
Thank you. All right. This Thursday, we will be honoring our police, fire, and EMTs here at City Hall. We have some citizens that have stepped up, and they have went to businesses, Tyson, Cargill, many businesses. They're donating meat for a smoking. They have a big smoker coming out, so we're going to be smoking meat. I'm not. They are, but so several of the businesses are donating different types of side items. Potato salad, macaroni salad, different things, and desserts. So if you would like to join us, we're going to be starting at 10:45 with a prayer and a speech. Actually, the priest from the Catholic Church will be coming over to do the blessing. And you guys are more than welcome to come. It will be an awesome time to honor the people that we need to honor, our police, fire, and our EMTs. Okay, last Thursday, we had quite a scare. Leslie had to be taken by ambulance to the hospital where she had to have emergency surgery. She's doing fine. She's already back to work. She came in Friday because she was worried about the cow agenda, getting it out by noon. And she only stayed an hour, and her mom sat with her, and we made her go home. So it got taken care of. And I would like to thank Pat. He's amazing for stepping in and preparing the agenda for us. But Leslie did come in and did a few of her little magic tweaks to it. But thank you both, Pat and Leslie. Also, Pat, James, and Corey, thank you for continually working with me to help figure out issues here at the city. I really, really appreciate you guys, and I really respect you. So thank you for helping me as much as you do. And Misty, happy birthday, and thank you for providing refreshments to the police, fire, and city workers. We appreciate that. They appreciate that. And that is just a huge blessing for all of us. Farmers Market Saturday, 8 to 1, our first one. Please come. Anytime between 8 and 1 for the farmers market. And also, as Mr. Lovett said, there will be a public hearing at the Catholic Church on May 25th at 5:30 about Class 1 lane field. They're wanting to expand it. So please come and voice your concerns. So thank you all. I appreciate you and have a fabulous evening.
Don't we have the yard sale starting Saturday too?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yard sale will be the 5th and the 6th. So we'll be looking for that as well.
I have a question. Is there going to be a map of the ones that have applied for that?
It's online. Yes.
That's online? Okay, thank you.
Finding it, call Leslie and she will be good. She is back to work.
All right. Well, I think I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Adjournment? All in favor, say aye.
Wow, we did that without
I thought I'd get that here, but.